Hello folks, welcome back to Malkid Talks. This week I am going to be ranking the cold opens of Wheel of Time Season 1. We are in limbo, waiting for Season 2, a trailer, a teaser trailer, release date, something, but it's time to get excited because we're in 2023 and it's going to come out in 2023. So let's start gearing it up. Earlier this week I sat down with my co-hosts on Threefold Talk and we gave you some things to watch while you wait, as we call it. So please go out and check that video. You'll see a link pop up on the screen just for that. But in the meantime, let's talk about Season 1 and what we liked and didn't like. And I thought I'd start by ranking the cold opens. Before I get to that, however, if you are new to the channel, please make sure to like the video and subscribe. And leave a comment on whether you think I got the order right or wrong below on the video. So let's crack into it, folks. What came 8 out of 8 for me in the cold opens? Well, we're going to kick it off with the cold open from episode 6. Yes, that's a cold open where we get to meet young Siuan with her father in their little roaring fishing hut out on the river. We get her see her demonstrating her strength of weaves, and we get to see a little bit of danger about what that means for living in Tyr. And obviously that's, while we know as Wheel of Time fans that have read the books that means Tyr specifically, this could just be general feelings out in the world to an average viewer. It's an interesting scene. You get to see a lot of history on why Siuan is the way she is, why she's so strong, because of the teachings of her father. We get a little sneak peek of the Stone of Tyr, which was confirmed, and that was wonderful. But it's something had to come 8th. I'm sorry, folks. Siuan comes 8th. It was nice. I don't think there was a bad opening for season for any of the episodes in Season 1, but this one was the one that I found least interesting and least engaging. So I'm really sorry. Don't shoot me, please. Coming in at number 7 on my list is the cold open from episode 5, and that is the funeral scene we've got. So this is the aftermath of the battle where Loghain's followers have hopped in, and while this was really beautiful, and I love the reflection that we get with so many of these cold opens with other parts of the series, parts of the episode that they're in, and it was, to see the funeral rites of the Aes Sedai. It's something we do not see in the books, and I think it was beautifully done. It felt very much, it's definitely something that I felt fit with the world that we got in the books, and it was nice to see, some of the other characters dealing with that. I don't know, probably because it's not in the books. It just felt like this was, it was interesting. Like I've said previously, I don't think any of them were bad, but there wasn't enough for me. This was exploring. I feel the scene at the end of this episode explored the dynamics between life and death for Aes Sedai and their warders, and obviously what that means for Moiraine and land, because we get a lot of that in this scene. That does more for me than this opening scene. Still a great scene. The singing's beautiful. The reflection back with the funeral at the end of the episode, also beautiful. But it's number 7 on my list for me. All right, so what came 6th on my list? Well, this is where I feel like I'm going to get in trouble, but I'm going to say it anyway. And it is the cold open from episode 3 with the badass Nynaeve. Yes, folks, this is what's coming in 6th on my list. I'm very sorry, but, this was cool. It was awesome to see Nynaeve battling it out with a Trolloc. I love seeing just the Trolloc attacking the other one that was injured, and you get to really find out just how violent they are and how little they actually care about anything other than killing. And we get the swirl revealing the dragon's fang, the Aes Sedai symbol. It's beautiful in the pool. We get to see the pool being used because we didn't see that scene with all the colors and Egwene that was in the trailer, which, on another note, I'll expand at some point in another video, I'm okay about. I think that was good that they cut that. This was exciting. That was thrilling. I love the behind the scenes where you find out that Zoe runs so fast that the cart couldn't actually keep in front of her properly, and she was asked to slow down. On the lower end of them for me. So that is number 6. I know folks love Nynaeve, and Zoe's doing an insanely good job of portraying her, to the point where my roommate, who doesn't like book Nynaeve, actually likes show Nynaeve. But it's lower down for me. I'm sorry, folks. Please don't hate me. All right, moving on to number 5 on my list. And this one comes from episode 8. Yes, the season finale for season 1 of The Wheel of Time is my 5th on the list for cold opens. Now, I know when I reviewed the episode originally, I went into my podcast episodes and sat there and I was like, I don't like the brooch. And I still don't like the brooch. I rewatched this and I was like, dude... Costuming has been on point. Jewelry is usually smashing it. On this occasion, I think they farmed it out to an intern. at least for me personally, the aesthetics. That's what I'm saying. I'm sure a lot of work went into it, and I respect that. For a personal level, it's just not for me. But the scene is really, really interesting. I love seeing the old tongue being brought to life. That is something that I think is amazing. It gives me callbacks to Klingon in Star Trek, where it became a real language and people actually speak that. I'd love to think that the old tongue becomes a language that people eventually start to use, just in nerdery, because yes, why not? RJ was terrible for keeping consistency in his writing of the old tongue, but you know, we can work through that and we can find something that actually works as a language. And I love that that's in this scene. And, you know, throw the subtitles on and you get to see it. And there's a line in here that I really, really love. And this will give spoilers for, obviously, the full episode. But, you know, if you don't know, that's what I do with this channel. Sorry. So this actually has a line in it that I think is amazing. And it's where Lews Therin turns around to the other character in the cold open and says, to think the fate of the world was decided in a nursery. And at the end of the episode, the end of the season, we see Rand... with Egwene in that dream sequence that the Dark One is giving him. And he talks about, you know, obviously what would Egwene want and so on and so forth. But there's the baby there. It's like the little outdoor version of the nursery. And I think it's a very subtle reflection that, again, Lews Therin decided the fate of the world in the nursery in effect. Rand has sat there, the Dragon Reborn, and decided the fate of this situation in a nursery. Lews turned out to make the wrong decision. Has Rand turned out to make the wrong decision? Is the Dark One 3 now? We'll find out in season 2. But I just loved that line was so simple and almost kind of like a throwaway line because it was just situational. There's a baby in a manger nearby. But it just really, really played back to the end of the episode for me. And I love that. And that's why I put it at number 5, even though a lot of people I know have been putting it lower. All right, folks, number 4 on my list. We're over halfway now, so this is the top 50%. And I know what you're saying, folks. Rob, why? That cold open to episode 1. Like, it's not in the bottom half? No, folks, it didn't make the bottom half, but it did make the top half. Only just, but it did. And this is the cold open. And this is not because it's like a double cold open. I don't count the bit with Moiraine, where she's telling the story of the Wheel of Time, in effect, at the beginning, because... that feels like just an exposition that was just needed to give context for something that's so complex. This, I feel, is the bit that should be counted as the cold open for the episode and the beginning of the series. And again, this one calls back to episode 8, where we see the landscape at the end of it, matching the landscape that we see in the cold open for episode 8. But this one, I thought it was a very simple way to set them up, in terms of showing madness, what the Aes Sedai are doing. They're chasing the men who can channel. The fact that, you know, was it him, as Lan says? Is this the guy? He's the right age. And it's like, no, we'll go to the Two Rivers. But it also sets up a good parallel, I think, between Liandrin and Moiraine. Instantly, we see Liandrin. She's played in a very bad light. Book readers know Liandrin's character. And Moiraine is portrayed as kind of like, well, I'll just let her do her thing, but, you know, she's evil and nasty, and I'm not doing that. I'm trying to find one to save, almost. So I feel there's a good, again, reflection back and forth between characters, between items in scenes. There's so many layers of this, which I love, because the books are written with all those layers. And that's why this pushed it up to number 4 for me. And it didn't hurt that I saw it on a big screen at the IMAX, so... you know, but that is my number 4. Let's get into the top 3. What are we going to have? Well, number 3 on my list of cold opens actually comes from episode number 2, folks. That is the scene with the White Cloaks. The White Cloaks in the books, great characters, you know, used reasonably well at multiple places. But there's so few of them that are like, just really portrayed as evil and nasty, and it's just, they don't feel threatening through a huge majority of the story. I love how threatening and how dangerous they feel straight away. I love that they seem capable. In this scene, we see that they've caught an Aes Sedai. A poor yellow sister is getting burned at the stake. And just Eamon Valda. Oh, I just love how well he's portrayed. I watched this scene back and it was it was delicious. And I know that's a bad word to use considering he's eating a bird and burning a lady alive, but it just felt, his delivery was brilliant. The scene felt creepy, even though there wasn't a creepy vibe to it. Like, he gave it creepiness, and he should. He's the head of the questions. He's meant to be creepy. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is why it's top 3. Argue with me all you want. It's just brilliant. They've come out straight at the gate. Second episode. Here is your villains. They are nasty. They are scary. They are dangerous. They are capable, which frankly is something they needed to be, and something that's frightening when you consider what their aim is. So that is it. What's number 2 and what's number 1? Let's get into it. All right, folks. Number 2 is the Logain cold open from episode 5. Yes, folks, this is my number 2. Alvaro Morte is playing Logain. Just stunningly. It's stunning to watch him portray this. Like, I love the fact that he's kept a lot of his accent. And the range, the confidence, the power he exudes, later as you see him being played on, like, his frailty and that he brings to moments is beautiful. But in this scene, it so beautifully shows the power that a rogue channeler can have, how he can use it, how it terrifies people, obviously the madness. Again, you see another layer to the madness. Episode 1, we saw you just seeing a regular person. You don't know that person isn't actually a real person. It's just a figment of your imagination. Here we see 2 shadowy figures that are just made from darkness, whispering in his ear like, you should kill these people. You can't trust them. You killed your family, things like that. And it's stunning to see that visual representation of the madness and how he deals with it, because that's an important part. Like, he's not mastered the madness, but he's found an equilibrium with it, and it doesn't control him completely. I'm sure it does influence him to do certain things, but you can see here it's like, kill the king, kill the king, kill the king, and he's like, no, actually there's room at my side for everyone, even my enemies. And I love it. It's great. It had to be number 2 for me. Originally, when I watched it, I was like, that was really cool to see, and I loved it, and I was excited. But other cold opens, I was like, wow, that's really interesting. On a rewatch, a reflection, this one is definitely up there as number 2. So, what's number 1, folks? Well, if you've been following along, it's very obvious what number 1 is going to be. I've said this time and time again. It comes from my favorite episode. That is episode 7, and it is the Blood Snow scene. Genuinely, I will die on this hill. Probably one of the best pieces of cinematography I have ever seen. This scene is insane. The use of a bolt camera. Kieran, the director, I'm so glad you suggested that. I'm so glad you fought for it. I'm so glad Amazon were like, yeah, spend the money on it, because the bolt camera ain't cheap. It's dangerous if you stunt people or people working around it get in the way, because it don't stop. It just goes as it's programmed. This scene is insane. This is a scene we did not get in the books. This is a scene I'm so thrilled they gave us and added in, because Magda does, she is stunning in this scene. It's beautiful. The movement, the flowing, it felt like a dance. It felt like she was dancing with them. They ain't dancing very well. They're getting their ass whooped, all right, which is right. They should be. And I know people had so many problems with this scene, like her veil's not up. It's just like, dude, this is going to be like, I put my veil down because I'm giving birth, and some guy launches like a sword at me or something. I can be like, hold 1 second, boop. Like, she's fighting. She can deal with this toe later. And come on, she kills everyone, so it don't matter. No one sees that she had a veil down, except obviously for the person who finds her at the end when she's literally in the middle of giving birth. And very sadly, she dies afterwards. So I feel like toe was met there. Like, get over yourselves, folks. And it's just such a good scene. It's so good. This is something we hoped for, something we kind of felt might be coming, and then they gave it to us. And I genuinely, this is the best scene in season 1. I don't know how long it will stay there. They might give us scenes that I couldn't expect or I am praying for. But yeah, I absolutely, absolutely love this, and it had to absolutely be number one. And it's a big part of why episode 7 is my favorite. There are many other reasons, but this is a big part of it. And yeah, I loved it. So that's it, folks. That's how I rank the cold opens of Wheel of Time Season 1. But how do you rank them? Let me know in the comments below how you think the cold opens should be ranked. Let me know why you think I'm right or why you think I'm wrong. And please make sure to come back and check me out again soon, because I will be doing some reviewing of the season as we get closer and closer to a release date, which hopefully they give us soon, please. But until next time, folks, I will catch you around. Bye.